guys, Blender Tech again here. Welcome to another video, another part in the lifting hook series from the team here at BlenderTech.com. If you enjoyed it or learned something from the video, consider liking it and to subscribe for more Blender, Unity 3D, coding, and all sorts of other CG related videos. Lastly, don't forget our motto, create your way. So I just lost a good half hour of recording, and basically I just UV unwrapped this part. I named everything. So this is the lifting point, or the latch support, sorry. I UV unwrapped it I just used smart UV unwrap, and it worked out good enough for me. And I UV unwrapped this one as well. And then I had some extra geometry, so ignore the horrible UV looking unwrap. But so I got that all textured up to a point where I'm happy enough for from a distance. And then I was just working on this point when Camtasia decided that my computer with 100 gigs of space left on my solid state drive had all of a sudden run out of space apparently. So I've switched my Camtasia recording temporary folder over to my regular hard drive, and we'll see if that fixes it. I've had this happen a few times, and it makes me mad. But yeah, basically all I did was what did I do? I basically set this point to smooth shading, and it looks fine to me. If you go back into rendered view, it looks fine. It looks exactly the way I want it. It's smooth on all sides, but there's that flat side there. So I just set it to smooth shading. I did a smart UV unwrap with the stock settings, and then I just, well, you can see I just aligned everything where I wanted it. These are the inside pieces, those are the outside, and these are just the flat pieces here. And then, moving on to this one. Oops, not that one. Well, yeah, let me just continue to explain. This piece right here, I just played with the vertices a little bit so that it intersected everywhere. I just scaled some things down. Like, for example, I scaled this point down so it's kind of more of a triangular shape, you can see. So it kind of fits the profile of the hook. You can see how this points towards the tip of the hook. Kind of just an artsy thing that no one will ever notice, but I know it's there, and it looks a bit better. So I did that, and I just made sure everything intersects so that nothing looks ugly. And then for this, I explained how the skin modifier, when you set the root to the very tip like that, it creates that really weird looking geometry that we had. So what I did was I just took the box select tool, and I just cut that entire piece off right there. And then all I did was I just extruded it up. You can see I extruded it up into this piece here. So I just took this edge loop here, I extruded it up to here, and then I flattened it out by scaling along the Z to 0. So I just went SZ, 0, and that just flattens it out in that direction. And then I just scaled it down because it was sticking out of the model. So that's basically all I did. So yeah, I guess you really didn't need to see my 45 minutes of that. So what we're working on now is I've got this part UV unwrapped, and in Photoshop I've got it sitting here. It doesn't seem to want to undo. Well, there we go, because I was clicking a lot, that's why. Alright, good enough, whatever. So yeah, I was just doing some editing, and I was basically just gonna make a new layer and throw some rivets in here. Got a nice rivet pack. Just very, very quickly, just to see how it looked. I'm using the same texture over and over as I did so that it really looks the same. It's just Metal Rust 2215 2712 small. It's from CG Textures. And yeah, just gonna add these rivets here, and then I was gonna take just a little bit of a grunge texture and just make a few splatters here and there, just like bloop bloop Bloop. That's a good thing about grunge textures. You don't have to go very hard. And I found out that the saturation. Oh, before I get too far, we also materialized it, obviously. Otherwise, that wouldn't come out rendered. So if I go into the node editor, this wouldn't be how I usually would do it. But we created a texture for it. Come on. This one, yeah. So basically, it's just a mix shader, obviously, with diffuse and glossy, just like any other metal. Fairly rough, though, since it's not shiny metal. I factored it at 0.2, so it's 80% diffuse, 20% glossy. And then I just went into the image texture that I created. So yeah, it was just that texture basically stretched over the entire thing, smart UV unwrapped, and I just cut the saturation in half because it was way too bright. You see, if I turn it to the original, whoops, dropped my snack. You can see that it looks just cheesy and fake. So yeah, I just dropped the saturation in half. And I was going to do that in Photoshop now by selecting that layer. Get rid of this brush because it's huge. And Control U for hue saturation. I was just going to cut the saturation down to 0. Negative 50. That's 0.5, I believe, right? So like that. Yeah, that's a lot better looking than that. Because the original texture, let's see, do I still have it around? Was it this one? No, it was this one. No, it was this one. Which one was it? Yeah, it was this one, and then I just flipped it and made it kind of fake seamless. It seemed to be seamless, at least in the vertical direction, so I just flipped it, and yeah, it's just this texture, but obviously this wasn't the color I was going for, so I just played with the hue and saturation levels a little bit till I got that kind of bronzy color that I wanted. So overall, not bad. That was my original attempt, which was way too saturated, but something like that. So I'm going to save this one now. You can see those little grunge marks and rivets that I added in. Get rid of the UV layout, and I'm going to save this as a PNG, and this is lifting hook latch support diff. So now we can show you kind of what I did. So I'm going to get rid of the UV editing window. And let's bring that up in the sunlight. And then I just brought open the UV image editor. Or sorry, I just brought open the node editor. I'm going to use the exact same material for everything, so I'm just going to go to materials and use this material. I just called it metal.material. So yeah, just diffuse, glossy, 0.2 roughness, GCX style or algorithm into a mix shader at 0.2 into the output. And then just the image texture, which you can get, like I said, off CG Textures. It is this one here, Metal Rust 2215 2712 small. It's pretty standard texture on CG Textures, I'm sure. And then I just cut the saturation down in half, and I turned the hue halfway between yellow and orange, which gives you that kind of gold color. So that's how I got that done. You can obviously do it however you want, and I don't even know if you'll be following this. You'll probably UV unwrap it yourself. You might even be doing something different. You might just download this model after, but yeah, that's how I did it. So yeah, that's that. I am happy with that. I might turn the value on this down a click, just because it would be slightly darker there. Maybe just one click. So yeah, I'm happy with that. Except I just need to open the proper image. That's lifting hook. So I need to create. If this is the same material, no, I need to make a single user copy. So this is metal.mat. This is gonna be, what am I gonna, latch support support metal.mat, and I'm gonna call this lifting point. Let's go PT lifting point metal.mat. So it's the exact same texture. That way I can use the different images without too much pain in the butt. So yeah, I'm just gonna delete that from here, and I'm gonna open up the texture we just made, which is the latch support diff. Cool. Those rivets look nice. I like that. It's a little hard to see unless I really crank up the sun, but if you were ever to do a close-up shot, that really does add some character. Otherwise, yeah, I'm quite happy with that. And you can see it's shiny, but not too shiny. It might be a little bit too shiny, but could always fix that. Could always go, could always go down to like 1.25 or whatever. Just play with it. It's a little unsaturated now, but it could just be the sun too. It's always hard to tell when you don't have when you don't have it in a scene, so I just leave it like that and play with it later. So now we're just gonna do it to this. So I'm gonna get rid of the node editor again. Open up the UV editor. I can turn this into solid view. I'm gonna go to regular right hand view. Open up the UV/image editor. Smart UV unwrapping has been working good enough since it's just a grungy kind of metal texture, so I don't need to worry if anything really stretches. Because you can see, like, if I go to rendered mode, it stretches a little bit right here, but you'd never see it. And I think that unsmoothed itself. Like, you'd never see it from anywhere. Even if you did a close-up of the hook like this, you'd never see that stretching. It looks completely fine to me. So yeah, anyways, back to right-hand view. Just need to tab into this, and let's see if Smart UV Project is gonna work this time. I'll try 89 degrees, but I know that isn't gonna work. No, that really creates some interesting unwrapping. I need to pick a lower one. Okay, so 20 degrees is what I use for the edge split. Let's try something around there. Let's try like 21. That's kind of near. Let's try 19. That's too similar. Let's try 20. Yeah, it's all gonna be the same. Let's try something like the stock 66. That works for me. Yeah, because I wouldn't mind putting some scratches on there, and I can easily tell what side's what. And it doesn't matter if it stretches, but you can see what part's what more or less from here. So yeah, I'm going to export this UV layout. I'm just using the stock 1024, so nothing too high textured. This is just a hook that you might throw in somewhere, so I'm not going too crazy. Whoops, that is the wrong folder. Lifting hook. So this is lifting hook 5. 4, I guess is lifting hook. And this is the actual hook. I'll just call lifting hook underscore diff, or underscore UVs. Sorry, I'm forgetting my nomenclature. And so yeah, I called that hook perfect. So I'm gonna open that up. Lifting hook UVs, yep. And I'm just gonna copy this texture right over. That will look just fine in my opinion. Yes, sir. Let's grab my grunge brush. Let's make a new layer. I need some scratches. I had a scratch pack in here somewhere. It's so hard to see. There's got to be a way to see the brushes up closer. I've never figured out a way though. I'm sure you Photoshop experts know how, but I don't. Anyways, I had scratches somewhere in here. Just can't remember. Scratches and smears. There we go. I've never really, yeah. These are freaking huge. Looks more like zombie marks. It's the right idea, just, not really what I had in mind. And that's, yeah, it's gonna really affect it more than I wanted to. It is the right idea, though. I'm just going to pull out the eraser, and I'm just going to pull out my tablet quickly. I'm just going to I guess I should be using it. Whoa! I'm just going to erase some of this, just so it's not quite so heavy. I'm going to erase it in a few key spots, and then I might turn the opacity down. Whoa, I'm going too hard now. Okay, apparently the eraser doesn't want to work that way today. I don't want it to erase like that. I guess I just need to use the tip for this. Alright. Oh, come on. I guess I have to change the flow. Or the opacity. One or the other. Let's go about a quarter. This is just me being a little bit creative. Like that's way too heavy. Alright, now I'm just going to turn the opacity of the whole layer down a bit. Or I could try something like not color burn, color dodge. No, that's too light. There's one in here that will work perfectly though that I'm thinking of. I just don't know which. Soft light. Again, I've been using Photoshop 15 years. I'm not an expert in it. Alright, I'll try that out. Let's turn off the UVs and see how that looks. Yeah, you can hardly see the extra little grunge I added. I didn't want it to be heavy. And I can't think of any place I would want little rivets in here. There'd be no place that it would make sense. So, because I do have this great texture pack, what is it called here? The Arcs Rivets Metal Brushes. It's got all sorts of really, really, really neat brushes. Let me make a new layer quick. Just go straight white. It's got some, oh, my opacity's down still. Well, I'm using the eraser, what the hell? Brushes. I'm trying to use that on the eraser. It's got some really, really great, just metal brushes. Things like that. They really come in useful from time to time. I was using the rivets on the other one there. You can see I was using that one there. Oh, I wasn't using the bolt, sorry, I was using this rivet pattern or whatever. That bolt pattern's nice too though. Whoops. I might use that in the future, but yeah, it's got some really, really great textures in here for all sorts of things. So yeah. Anyways, let's save this. Enough of my showing off my textures you can get anywhere. Or brushes. So this is lifting hook diff. You can see how similar the textures are. I really could just go over and over again, but I like to add a little bit of character. I know it's there. No one will ever know, but whatever. So the hook, it needs, oh, I spelled latch support wrong. But anyways, it needs its own copy. Can't make a single user copy on edit mode. So this is hook metal.mat. So let's go into the UV or into the node editor. Let's turn this on rendered. Not material, rendered. Now it's looking like it's made out of dinosaur bone. Maybe I desaturated it too much. Oh, I know why. Because I have the desaturation node even though I desaturated it in the image. So this one, I need to get rid of the desaturation node. Whoops. I'm desaturating it in half again, so I need to completely get rid of that. That looks better. Although that's still quite saturated. Apparently, Photoshop doesn't desaturate it the same as before. So I'm going to turn the saturation up on this a bit to even it out, something like that. Alright, back to this one. I can get rid of the saturation node. Well, I'll just leave it at 1. Whatever, just leave it at stock. Leave the value at 1. And replace the image with our lifting hook diff. Cool. That is looking pretty nice. Nice enough for me anyway. Like I said, from a distance that'll look great. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna sculpt in some seams after. And with dynamic topology, it should just use the texture, I'm hoping. Still a little bit saturated in my opinion. Need to re-add that saturation node in there. There, that looks nice. Okay, cool. So you got hook, support, and lifting point. Now I want to do that text on the side, the load rating or whatever. So let's go back to Photoshop. I'm going to use the same UV layout. I'm just going to get rid of this this texture. And I'm going to get rid of that. Just need the UVs, which is this one. Make a new layer on the bottom, which is completely black. It's a grayscale image. Actually, I'll just make it a mid-range. And then in pure white, because white is the high points in a displacement map, I believe. Or is it black? I can never remember. Either way, I'm gonna curve it around there. So I'm gonna make a pen path. If I can remember how to do this. It's been a long time, boy, I'll tell you what. Yeah, gotta do that a little better. I haven't used the pen in forever. It's gonna be like around here. Right on that edge. So I think that's where I want it. And then, yeah, I just want to go right on that line. And I want to, ooh, it's way too big at 222. I think 72 will be more than enough. Might even be a little big in its own. But then we're going to pick a nice font for that. Stencil font maybe. And we're just going to go like, let's say 8200 lib max. I like that stencil font actually. Yeah, that looks nice. Let's throw it somewhere in there. I'm going to duplicate this layer. And I'm just going to flip it over to the other side. And just going to rotate it a little bit. We want it readable on both sides, so. Alright, let's try that out. So I'm going to get rid of the UVs. File, save as. This is lifting hook, PNG first. I'm not going to do a normal map yet. I'm just going to do a displacement first, because that'll make the most effect. Now I just need to go into Blender, and we need to add that in. So to do that, all we need to do is go into the lifting hook, and I'm just going to duplicate this so I can use the node wrangler. I'm just going to add a texture setup. I'm going to delete that, drag color to color under displacement, and I'm going to open up the displacement map. And there you go, we have that nice writing on there on both sides. I guess you wouldn't be able to see it on this side very easy. You would in material mode, I think. Maybe not. Textured mode. Yeah, so it's readable on both sides. So there. I am happy with that. I might, like I said, I might add on to this in the future and go and add some spec maps, normal maps, and make an actual safety latch. But for now, I think I'm quite happy with that. That's pretty basic, and it looks half freaking decent, so I'm happy with that. That looks a little cheesy. I think I could probably cut that, let's see, non-color data first. Like I could put in another hue saturation node or a level node. I could turn the saturation down because that's way too white. Or up. It does nothing. Value, I mean, because that's way too white. I need it darker to make it just barely visible. Something like that. So yeah, obviously my tones were a bit too extreme, the contrast. So that's essentially cutting the contrast down. So yeah, I'm happy with that. So I'm just going to quickly, I'm going to line these up. I'm going to go do. I'm going to frame these. Call this 8200 lib disp. I'm going to frame these. We could probably go a touch heavier on that. And I'm gonna actually, just so that people know when I go to share this, that value changes text depth up to 0.5 maybe. Cool, I like that. Get rid of that. I'm going to save this as the final. Version 1 final. So I'm going to go lifting, whoops, caps to lifting hook. Version 1.0, version 1, final.blend. Alright, cool. Let's find a good camera angle. I want to use one of the Blender Pros I heard recently that a good, I don't have camera select, a good camera preset is the the full frame 35. It creates a very realistic perspective. So I just want to find something good that frames the text well and the Boolean cutout. Maybe get a little closer, look up, and bring it down. Make it look a little more like a hook would. Maybe come across a little so you can see the text a bit better. Then I'll just play with the sun a little bit. Brighten or darken it. Darken it a little bit, a lot maybe. Something like that I'm happy with. Let's give it a quick render. Save one last time. Render. That is that. Thanks for watching from the team here at BlenderTech.com. If you enjoyed this video and learned something, please like it. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos. We're now on Twitter at twitter.com/blender_tech. That's at blender_tech. And Facebook, at facebook.com/blendertech page, all one word. If you want a hard copy of our videos, let us know. If you disliked, this video for some reason, please tell us why so we can continually improve based on community input. We also take requests. See you next time. Remember, create your way. So I'm going to go to bed now, and hopefully these stitches in my head where they pulled my cyst out isn't going to keep me up any longer, so I don't have to do any more modeling. And we will see you next time.